Rex Ryan lost this past Sunday in the most Rex Ryan way possible. In overtime, game they had to win, they punt with 4 minutes to go, and then not only did they give up a huge run that ended up giving up their game-winning field goal, but they only had 10 men on the field on his vaunted defense at the time. Best guess, does Rex Ryan ever get another head coaching job?
Well, I never want to say no, because there's enough people who are desperate in this game to try and retread him one more time and say, oh, he only got 2 seasons. It was an unfair situation in Buffalo. But if that game is such a microcosm of Rex's career, because not only is it the 10 men on the field, which is, it's great that you came out and you took responsibility for it and owned up to it like a man, but it's like, why did it happen in the first place? Like, that stuff just should not happen, okay, if you're really on top of your details. The second thing is, if you go back to the minute 32 left in regulation, when Tyrod Taylor goes out of bounds, and then they burn a timeout because they're not ready to call a play on fourth down, like, that was such an ill-prepared moment, both the player being ill-prepared to saying, look, it's best to now stay inbounds, force the other team to burn a timeout, or in the best case, burn all the time until the last moment when we can score and take the lead to prevent them from being able to drive for the field goal. It was such a bad game strategy that it just encapsulated everything that Rex has done, and how many games he's blown along the way, that even when the players buy in, he does things to undermine himself, and that to me was more of an indicator of why I would never hire Rex as a head coach again.
All right, so Whaley's going to take over, continue to take over the process of hiring a head coach, and he's going to play E.J. Manuel, a guy who he helped draft in Buffalo. But this is more about Tyrod Taylor, right? Not getting him hurt, so they're not on the hook for next week.
I mean, E.J. Manuel has no future there. They know that. They're just getting through the year. They're just getting through the last game, and then just don't want to be liable for the $30 million.
What are your thoughts on the whole Tomlin? I don't know if it's a controversy or Terry Bradshaw going hot take on us, saying he thinks he's more of a cheerleader, doesn't think of him as an elite coach. And of course, he responded saying that Hollywood Henderson was his favorite player. Of course, those of us know football said Hollywood Henderson said Terry Bradshaw couldn't spell cat without even if you spotted him a C and an A. As a guy who's followed this league and written and talked to everybody in this league for a long time, what's the overwhelming feeling about Mike Tomlin in terms of his level of aptitude as a coach?
Well, I think that Tomlin made one other point in that after the Hollywood Henderson mark, which is a great reply. But he also said, look, you can say I'm not a great coach because I believe that you have to have a resume like Bill Belichick to be considered on that level. So he qualified what is a great coach. So it's okay to criticize him as not a great coach. And I think that there are things that you can say about Tomlin, about timeout management, end game analysis, that if you did a really sophisticated take on Mike Tomlin and how he handles the team, you could sit there and say he's not as good as a lot of people hold him up to be, just like Rex Ryan was not the defensive genius that a lot of us held him up to be. And we could go down the line of a lot of different coaches because a lot of guys don't handle game strategy, which is one of the greatest strengths of Bill Belichick, handling game strategy, which is why he's great. And if you do that kind of analysis, that's a very learned, very well thought, very well researched kind of analysis. That is not anything close to what Terry Bradshaw is doing. Okay, Terry Bradshaw is doing what Terry Bradshaw has done for 30-something years, which is just spit something out that's controversial to make people pay attention to him. He did this with John Elway back in 1983 about the draft. He's been doing it his whole career. He'll just say what people want to hear. He'll say what appeals to people because he wants to keep himself relevant. And at the end of the day, Hollywood Henderson was right.
Jason Cole joining us on the Doug Gottlieb Show, CBS Sports Radio. So the Bengals reportedly are going to ask Marvin Lewis to retire. That has to be, only the Bengals would do something like this to save money, right? There has to be some sort of financial savings in it, correct?
Yeah. Walk away. Don't accept the last year of the contract because they're not going to give him an extension.
Okay, so but why would he do that?
Unless they decide that they want him to. Unless they're saying you retire, we'll give you, half of the contract or 60% or something like that, then he Why would you? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Contract's a contract. You're supposed to pay it off.
It's the Bengals being the Bengals, right?
Right. It's Mike Brown being, I mean, look, Mike Brown likes Marvin Lewis, so he doesn't want to fire him. There are other people in that organization who believe that Marvin Lewis has run his course, if I may.
Yeah.
And that's a fair thing. Even though he's done a great job, especially compared to all the previous coaches before him, is the Bengals organization. But I think that those people are starting to win out over Mike, and that they want to take advantage of the team that they have and get somebody young and get somebody in there who can sort of spark the team and bring some order to what has been chaos, like last year in the playoffs when chaos is the reason that they were knocked out against Pittsburgh.